Welcome to MITTWORK University. Our first video in our series where we're trying to teach you guys MITTWORK shortcuts for personal trainers. And today's topic is 4 MITTWORK intro basics for personal trainers, guys. So we have 4 things that we have lined up. First one is your stance. That's very important, right? 2, we have height. All you clients are going to be different heights, right? So we're going to have tall, we're going to have roughly about the same height, and we're gonna have shorter. So as a personal trainer, there's a little bit of a height there, but I don't really think about that though, do you?
No, at least I try not to. That's the guy.
Third one is placement. This is very, very important, guys. And the very last thing is the sequencing, what we call the LTR, which means left to right. Now, there's a lot of other things that we can do, but this is the most basic version to get you started. So the very first one, we're going to show you how to set up your stance. This would be from your orthodox stance, which most of you are. The southpaw videos will be coming later, but first we're going to have Coach Oscar show you how to set up your stance, and then I'll show you my version. So
this is just the way that we do everything here at Victory. So when I get people here on the very first day, whether you're brand new or advanced, understand that I don't know what you know yet, so I have to kind of run basic with you a little bit, right?
So you're always assuming, not to disrespect them, but like you're just assuming that they're starting from zero.
Yeah, because you never know. I don't know what you know, and you don't know what I know. So let's figure out where we are first. Let's start from the scratch, and then we go from there, right? So it's just like I said, my biggest philosophy is always your feet cannot cross and they do not touch. So what we do here, we set up a small cross, right? So you can do it with some basic tape, even some string. And so you put, like I said, this is for people who are orthodox. You put your left foot on the top left square, and you put your right foot on the bottom right. That way you're kept at an angle. Same thing, your hands are always up by your face. Your torso will follow your body. So you put your right hand in the rear, bring the left hand in the front, and your knees a little bit, keep that back nice and high, and then you stay placed, right? And that's all we do here from day one. And that's just introductory stance.
Perfect. I was taught that way as well too, and I recently learned a different version, and I'll show you, and it's up to you which one to use, so just pick and choose. So if that was my coach or the heavy bag, I'm going to look to the right, hip width apart, take 1 step with my right foot, 1 step forward, back to my original placement, back heels up, bend the knees, hands up, and just like Coach Oscar said, left hand slightly forward and the right hand by my chin. Now look, there's many different ways to do the same thing. Our goal here is to show you as many options as possible, and then you guys can pick and choose what feels good for you. Next thing is height. Now, I think we are 2 people that can bring you a lot because I'm a super tall guy and I train a lot of short clients. That's a problem in itself, right? Because I'm like constant. I mean, I had a lot of clients that were like, you remember my original class where they were like 5'2".
They're like 5'2", 4'9".
So I'm literally like holding this here. I'm not even joking. So
I'm like that with my kids because they're like this tall and I'm just like, all right, man, come here.
It takes a lot of bending, right? We have a 3-zone rule. So we have zone 1. Zone 1 is somebody that would be taller than me, right? Zone 2 is roughly somebody that would be roughly about the same height. Zone 3 is roughly somebody that would be a little bit shorter than me. Coach Oscar is like somewhere in the middle, right? In between like a zone 2 and zone 3, right? 5'5". So let's just say if Coach Oscar was a little bit taller than me, I would slightly try to aim my mitts slightly above their forehead. Yeah, would you say that's roughly about right?
About, yeah.
That's right. So the general idea is we want the client to be punching roughly like a little bit taller than themselves.
More or less, yeah.
Yeah. If they were taller than me, I would hold it slightly above their forehead. I would catch a jab across here. Okay. Just like that, right? If the client was roughly about the same height as me, then I would roughly aim about between their top of their forehead and their eye level. Any thoughts, Coach?
For sigma, around my forehead, shoulder, right
More or less. It's not always the same spot, so just taking it with a grain of salt, but we want to be in the general vicinity, right? Yeah. So if Coach Oscar's head is right there about eye level here, if I want to draw a straight line, it'd be roughly here, right? So we catch a 1, 2. Jab across. That's it right there, right? So that's zone 2, right? So that's roughly somebody around your same height. Now, zone 3 is if you were holding for somebody a lot shorter than you. Now this kind of changes the game a little bit. I'm a tall person, right? So I'm gonna try to bend down in a level where I can try to get them to punch slightly above their forehead, right? So let's have you bend down just a little bit. There you go, good. So if Coach Oscar was a little bit shorter, I would try to bend down in a way where if this is your forehead, I'm gonna hold roughly right about there. Right there, good. And then if it's across here, boom. So give me a 1, 2. Again. There you go. So that's kind of how we break it down. We like to have systems. Zone 1, Zone 2, Zone 3.
You don't want to have the client adjust too much just because you're the short one, unfortunately.
Right. And Bill, that's a good point. As a trainer, it's our job to adjust to them, not them adjust to us. Yeah. So that's very important to keep in mind.
So let's say vice versa, right? If I was holding for you, right, at that point I would be like, you know what? I'm not going to get him above his forehead, right? So for me, I have to go for the shoulders. So let's say if your shoulders are right at where more or less my temple is, that's okay. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. So I'm going. More or less ballpark. So this is only in the case that someone's taller. I think that afterwards, zone 2 and zone 3 would apply the same way. Same thing, if they're at my height, same thing, put it at to forehead level. And if they're a little bit short, let's say they were super, super short, same thing, you want to bend down with them and catch them the exact same way.
So basically, try to meet them as to where their natural
to where their natural stance is, yeah. Because you want to give them the more authentic feel for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, over time, as you become more efficient at holding mitts, your client gets better, you can start to kind of change
the routine a little bit. But
you can kind of change the height of it because not every target's going to be perfect, right? You can kind of have them read the, generally the jab could be here. I can suddenly hold a little low jab here. I can do a jab here. Here. So you can switch it up after you get good, or for now, just stick to the basics. Cool. Placement. Okay.
Oh yeah.
This is
the
kicker right here. Yeah. Now, I'm sure if you search any videos on YouTube, you must see this a lot. Don't hold your pads here, right? Don't hold it here. It's not an 8-headed monster.
Not a bear.
Yeah, or not a bear, right? Hey, look, again, we want to create a realistic target. That is the main goal of mitt work, right? See, if I'm punching somebody, I want to be aiming at their head, right? So my goal as a trainer is to try to create a target that will be their head, right? So my head is here, right? So it'd be really unrealistic to keep the pads here.
We're jabbing
across, right? Yeah. So elbow stuck in. I want to try to keep the mitt as close as possible as to my head. From my fight stance, a jab is just right here. Yeah. So from here, I'm just going to turn. Cross, right? So cross, the jab and the cross is basically right by our face and just slightly turn it out, right here. So I would say right by the cheek.
Right, more or less by the cheek or even by the chin.
Yeah.
Keep it in the middle, more or less.
Yes.
You don't have because you're never gonna try to hit someone deliberately in the shoulders.
Right.
Your goal is to aim for the middle.
You know what? That's a great point, right? So a lot of times when beginner trainers hold mitts, they actually put the mitt by the shoulder. You've seen that before,
yeah? Yeah, where they're out here and they give you the one over here and the two over here. I'm never gonna hit anybody going this way.
Right. This is like 3 targets, right? One in the middle, one to the left, one to the right. This is not drunk boxing, right? As a beginner trainer, don't do this. You will eat a punch.
Yeah,
especially if they hit it hard, you're gonna eat it right here. So you want to keep it close to your face without actually interfering with your view or your face.
Yeah, you want to see what your client is doing because we never know. We get some clients that are real good about it, and then you're gonna get some that are just beyond your control for the first couple of days.
There's been some close calls.
Yeah. So.
Sometimes I kind of imagine like a visor. If I was wearing a hat, sometimes when you wear a hat and you try to curve the cap here, this is kind of what I would look like, except I'm just gonna drop it just a little bit on my face. Yeah,
that's a good way to say it. Yeah.
This one, hooks. This is something that Coach Oscar and I both had a lot of trouble with at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Timing the hook can feel very difficult and awkward at first.
Yeah, because and like we said, especially if you're like as a trainer, you get clients that are brand new. They don't always know how to throw the hook either, and that I feel like is a big factor. Same thing, if you don't know how to hold the mid, that's a second factor, right? And in this case, we're going over the bed. And we're only assuming that the client right now is good, right?
Yep.
So let's go for that 3 really fast, right? So, like I said, obviously for the way that we were taught growing up is the look in particular, even the one on the right side, right, is always more or less at eye level, right? You always want to throw a good hook with your elbow right at, right at shoulder level, right at eye level. You come back home, sending with the opposite side. Okay. But, like I said, anytime that you guys go to catch, remember, mine goes to aim for the temple or for the chin. So that hook has to be nice and has to be close to him, has to be close to you if you're the one holding. But if your hand is extremely far out and you get a guy that likes to just throw haymakers on the way, that's gonna hurt your hand, it's gonna hurt your shoulders, even your elbows at times. That happened to me a couple years ago. And it's not a good feeling because then you get kind of paranoid on holding that punch in particular, and then now you're losing out on tools that you could use.
Yeah. One thing that I like to tell my clients is, yes, it's all these different punches, but it's different punches, one target. Different punches, one target, right? It's one head, right? So that's why a lot of you'll see some old school trainers, they'll hold everything on one mid, or they'll be like 1, 2 here, boom, boom, hook cross in. Meaning I didn't move at all. They're looking at a head. That's what's going on here, right? That's the reason why some trainers like to do that, right?
Yeah.
So let's give them just the beginner version as to where would you instruct a beginner trainer to hold that left hip?
Yeah, so for me, what I would do, I would obviously want to keep it nice and close to me. I don't know how this I can throw, and obviously I want him to reach a little bit. So I would hug it nice and close to me, right? Give it a very, very small cup to that palm, so that when the mid comes in, you have a pocket to catch it in. And it always lands nice and sturdy. I'm not going anywhere. I have a particular spot to aim for, okay, and I come back home. Okay. Right there.
And that's part of the reason why, if you have put on a pair of mitts, I'm not the biggest fan of it, but that's the reason why if you put on the mitt, there is a tennis ball or a ball type of apparatus inside the mitt.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is so that you can cup it.
Yeah. So you can cup the ball. I don't think my mitts have that, but there's some that do. And in the case that you do, when you're starting, it's not a bad thing to have.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. So the next part is the uppercut. This can be a little bit tricky. Okay. Let's first show them. There's 2 ways you can catch it. You can do a flat or you can do it at an angle, right? So first with left uppercut will be right by my chin, not literally underneath my chin. Don't do that. Yeah. So the uppercut is slightly underneath the chin. So it's actually a little bit lower than an actual jab cross hook. And then I will probably be slightly right about here. Yeah, right around chin level, yeah? Good. Just right there, right? And so let's just say you get a beginner client that has a little bit of trouble. They might not bend their knees and get underneath the shell, which is what you're supposed to. If they don't do that, you can kind of go to 45. Right there. So that gives them a little bit more of a visible way of hitting the target, and if they have a little bit of trouble getting underneath the shot. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think for that one, it's more or less what.
Okay, cool. So we'll just uppercut here. Right there, yeah. So you always want to try to give a very consistent placement of the shot, because chemistry is a real thing.
Yeah, chemistry is
a real thing.
You won't always get your pattern right away with people. I think because first is always introductions. You know what I mean? So you don't know what you're gonna bump into right away.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I feel like as a trainer or as a good coach, you want to have as many tools available to you to make the job that much easier.
Right. We weren't gonna give you this pro tip, but if they punch really hard or they load up a lot and just having one hand is just not enough, I'm gonna give you one little tip. It's called a stacking method, okay? Mm-hmm. So what you're gonna do, I've seen people do both ways. I like taking my opposite. If I'm catching right uppercut, I'm gonna take my right hand and then use that as my target, and I'm gonna stack the hand here. Go. Okay. You see that? I can take a lot more power, and the client's gonna feel really good about it. The client is kind of a wheeler, like they just like to wheel on shots. I would definitely not use it because it's gonna get him a bad habit, but you can kind of use it as a reward. With that kind of
more or less as a reward, or if you get to a point in the session where you can maybe push them just a little bit more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if they're wild off the bat, you want to definitely go over the form first
Yes.
before getting crazy, because at the end of the day, if they hurt your hands, you can't hold for them anyway.
Correct.
So
The very last one is called sequencing, right? Because we've been doing this for a while, it's very normal that if I put up my left hand, it's going to be a left jab. If I put up my right hand, it's going to be a right cross. But sometimes if you do this, they might do that, which is not wrong. But from a fundamental perspective, as to get them on a flow state, that's a little hard. So we call this LTR, which is left to right. So if I hold my left hand, left jab. If I hold on my right hand, right cross. If I do this, left hook, right hand. Good? One more time. That's just flow, right? Do it again. So just going from left to right is the most natural feeling in boxing. That's why when guys get in a street fight, what is the first thing that they're going to do? That's what they're going to do, right? Because that feels the most natural. Rarely somebody's going to shoot a jab, load up on the left hook. One more time. They might, probably not.
yeah. Okay, and then usually because they don't know how to do it yet.
Exactly.
Or it doesn't come natural.
Right. That's pretty much it. Guys, anything to add before we end the video?
Remember that you're the coach, you're giving them work, you're not there to get work. That's something to keep in mind.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Very last thing, if you guys are interested in any of the mitts that we use, all the equipment like the Jackson Gloves here, the Everlast Air Mist is actually one of my favorites. We will leave links down to that below so you guys can check them out. Depending on the product, we may get a small commission at no cost to you. Cool. So thanks for watching. See you guys later.